You're listening to the Speedway Insider, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of Speedway in New Zealand, hosted by three-time New Zealand champion Christian Hermanson and Ruapuna's own Louise Smith. The Speedway Insider will give you a unique perspective by going behind the scenes of everything Speedway to find and tell the stories that you won't hear anywhere else, by talking to competitors, car owners, decision makers, and anyone who makes the sport tick. Thanks for listening. Here's the latest episode.
When Kiwis hand us their keys, they're choosing quality without compromise. At Auto Super Shops, we understand what these keys represent. From routine maintenance to complex repairs, we approach every job with the same commitment to quality. Value that lasts, dependable parts, service you can count on. That's why at Auto Super Shops, we never cut corners, delivering the best value from mechanics you can trust.
It's the place to stop, your Auto Super Shops.
We're New Zealand's mechanic.
A big shout out to our friends at Fastmaster, Alistair and all his team. Established in 1992, Fastmaster is one of New Zealand's leading distributors of everything that you need to operate at a high level when you're behind the wheel. The team at Fastmaster stock brands like Marina Racewear, RI Stand 21 Ogio, Inferno Armour, and of course their newly developed Ibex tyre treatment and Dirt Slayer tear-offs. I've been a customer of Alistair's and Fastmaster now for over 6 years, and I get everything that I need from Alistair. I run a custom Marina suit, have an RI helmet, and get all my Dirt Slayer tear-offs from him during the season as well. Service that Fastmaster and Alistair provides goes above and beyond to make sure that you're all sorted for Saturday night. So check out their website, fastmaster.co.nz, or stop into their new location in Albany on the North Shore. I guess at any stage too, it's probably important to note that the podcast could be interrupted by a small cat.
But yours or mine, because I also will probably
Both.
see my...
I had a question too. We have the technical capability now to go live on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And also the technical capability to go live on Facebook and TikTok.
Wow. And
We can go
TikTok.
live. We can go live.
That's cool.
Do we want that? Do the people want that?
I think, yeah, it's...
It changes the dynamic, but...
Yeah. I think it probably depends on like the topic. Is it something that people want to have to sit and listen to right then and there, or is it something that you want to listen to while you're driving?
Yeah. Well, let us know. Let us know in the comments. We'll do it if you want, but we might not like it.
Hold fire.
Insert elevator music here.
That much more, it'll run out.
Yeah, I know it's distracting for you, but I think what we proved with the Ross Thurston interview is that we can edit pretty much anything out.
Yeah, that came out really good, actually.
His wife was making dinner literally right next to where he was doing the recording. And at times it distracted us. If you watch the video, there's a couple of moments where like we are laughing, but it's not something that ought to be laughed at. It's really funny. And we're laughing.
I didn't think about that. It actually, it looks like we're laughing at nothing because you can't really hear it in the edit.
Yeah. Or there's a moment where he's talking about something quite serious. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we're laughing, and it's because in our ears we can hear Ramala in the background. Yeah, or the dog.
Yeah.
The
dog was pretty good.
Yeah, at one stage, lifting the lid for inside the Speedway Insider. At one point, there was a dog growling in the background, and we both looked at each other and sort of lost it.
Just a little bit. I did need some composure, but it was good. It was real.
Yeah. It was unfiltered. It was, it was really funny. And then also just like little pots, banging of pots and pans. There's like a jug boiling at one stage in the background. But yeah,
he was being looked after. He had dinner ready when we finished.
Yeah, well, but it's probably our fault for recording right through dinner time.
We do have a bad habit of that.
Yeah. Well, we both have full-time jobs as well. We have multiple full-time jobs, so it's a passion project on the side. This one,
yeah.
I guess we had lots of good feedback about the Ross Thurston episode. I don't know if you had anything. I just really
just being there and hearing his answers kind of firsthand. Even I thought it was a very insightful. So I'm assuming that was the kind of feedback that you were getting as well.
Yeah. I just even for me, it was quite interesting just to hear, I guess, the what happens in the referee's box, because
Yeah.
I've only ever been up there when I'm in trouble, which is hardly ever.
Which is never.
um, and yeah, there's a couple of funny stories that I remembered about Ross after we stopped recording as well. There was one time, I think it might have been my second season in mini stocks, and I think I just had a bad run. It was my second season of mini stocks, because it's the infamous season where I think my dad's porta power and welder has never recovered from the amount of front bumpers that we had to fix.
Right.
He had to
The
fix.
beauty of non-contact mini stocks. Is that how that goes?
Limited contact, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's as a result of finding some speed, but also finding gaps that aren't really gaps.
Making a gap.
But I remember one particular night I'd had a bad run with the officials, and obviously Ross alluded to it, that my dad and Ross have been friends for quite a long time. And I just remember charging up to the referee's box maybe for the third time in 3 races that night, and just saying something along the lines of to Ross, "What do you guys want now?"
I'm sure they loved that. Great start.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the great attitude they want all of the drivers to come up to the referee's box with.
Yeah, 13 years old and sassy as ever.
Yeah.
But there was another time where I asked, I think I asked Ross around playing God or something like that, and that one's never been forgotten, because he brings that up with me all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I enjoyed making it, and I find with these, if we enjoy making them, and if we enjoy making them, they're normally the more interesting episodes. But it was cool to hear his journey through motorsport, I think. And then I guess I've had a few people kind of just follow up with specific rules that they want clarifying from someone. So I don't know, maybe one day.
The trick there is that interpretation, though. Like, if he's not the referee on the night, maybe how he interprets it is a little bit different to how somebody else interprets it, but can sometimes be the tricky part. I found it quite interesting too I feel like as open wheel fans, we all kind of feel the frustration sometimes with the open wheel rules, and him saying himself that, they're some of the hardest to officiate. But then I was thinking about him, with his bit of paper writing down everything every lap for like these full contact super stock races or stock car races. And I'm thinking that has got to be 10 times harder than, watching a few sprint cars in a heat race when you've got all these guys. And I've always found it super interesting about how the drivers and the officials, when they're in the heat of the moment with all the rules about like where you can hit from, that how you manage that. As a driver, maybe it's a little bit easier because you're only focused on yourself, but like as an official, watching everyone to make sure like where they're attacking from is like within the rules, that's always been something that's like stressed me out, and I've got nothing to do with it. But like the thought of it is enough to me be like, I don't know how they managed to officiate these races. So I mean, him saying, I guess it becomes second nature at some point, especially for him. But yeah, I don't know. Just that was one of my interesting takeaways from it.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway, and I think maybe that's a kind of a good point for some of the officials too. Is that I think he was quick to say that it's a lot easier to officiate when there's cameras of a high enough quality.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's super interesting was the change of technology there as well.
Yeah, but also interesting how he said it's a lot easier to kind of officiate with cameras, but maybe the point is around giving them a little bit of a break, because it is hard. Things happen kind of at pretty fast.
Yeah.
But also, some of the drivers too. I mean, how are you supposed to know if you've clipped the pole line or what have you?
Yeah.
It's a bloody hard one. But it was interesting to get his thoughts on technology and how all that's changed as well. But I think my takeaway on technology was that, from what he was saying, is that it's got to be kind of a certain level, a judicial quality, where it was his phrase, not just Barry or Sally up in the grandstand, who's on an angle and you get 15 or 17 different videos in the referee's box that show slightly different angles. Yeah, it was interesting to get his take on that. Pimmy's referee's box sounds pretty deluxe, doesn't it? Christ.
It does. Sounds like the real deal. But I guess when you've got someone like him that's seen all the changes and knows what's good and what he needs, he can make it happen, I guess.
Yeah. So it was good. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to get him on again and talk about some other bits and pieces or some of the other officials. I think, two of the other positions in Speedway that often aren't kind of highlighted a lot. I think referees are probably the highest profile ones, but the other ones that aren't really that high profile are probably like clerk of the course, and also what a steward does kind of on the night too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's kind of...
That's where I get most confused. How many times have I asked you what the difference between a steward and a referee is?
Yeah.
Several. Yeah, I can't keep track. I just know that they're in a Speedway New Zealand shirt. They're making decisions.
Yeah, and then also I think the tech side. I think one of my favorite episodes that I've made of the Speedway Insider was probably the second one with Nelson Hartley, where we talked about tech and rules and stuff like that. So I don't know what the point of saying that is, but I think it's kind of interesting stuff, isn't it? Talking about the kind of the actual nuts and bolts of the sport.
Totally.
So yeah, big thank you to Roscoe for coming on. He was good and gracious with his time. We had him for about an hour and 20, I think, in the end. Had to slice some of the stories and some of the ums and ahs and things out to not incriminate anyone. Me mostly.
Definitely mostly you.
Yeah, me mostly.
Yeah.
But no, it was a good chat. Yeah, hopefully, I hope everyone enjoyed it. Everyone really enjoyed the chat with Scott and Jay as well.
Yeah, they did.
Those guys are just so entertaining. I think they're just two naturally really funny guys. And we also extracted as much as what they would tell us about teams racing and the tactics and how they've won so many championships and stuff. I think we got they said 70%, but I think we got about 80% out of them in the end.
And they were very, again, gracious with their time and being open about that stuff as well. Because again, we are here to lift the lid, and sometimes, people hold these things near and dear to their hearts and their biggest secrets of success. But yeah, it was nice to hear kind of a little bit more, at least, of what goes on behind the scenes. And I think it probably helped too to have the two of them, like they both and Scott able to bounce off each other as well. And then one doesn't feel responsible for letting any secrets out or anything if they can, bounce it off each other and they can kind of see what's right and where they want to take that. So I think it was a cool dynamic to have them both as well. Yeah,
they were good banter with each other as well. They were sort of giving each other shit and whatever else.
That's what that whole team is like a little bit, isn't it? Especially, coming with all of that success and stuff. So.
And I think I liked two of their ideas. One of them was the alternative commentary collective that we can definitely only do once we retire from racing.
Yeah.
There's no way you could do anything like that while you're still racing, especially not in a contact grade. And I also like their idea there was a twofold idea, but one, getting Louise to teams champs in 2027, Waitangi weekend. Watch the New Zealand sprint car champs be Waitangi weekend. Surely not. They're at Bay Park next year, so surely not.
Yeah,
but and then the idea of a live show too. I quite like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just say we've made some progress on that.
Yeah.
Announcement to come soon. Much later. Yeah. So no, that was good. Two really good episodes. It's just going to be a bit of a, I guess, to sort of that's a bit of a cold open, but to talk about what we're going to talk about today. It's kind of just the two of us today.
Yeah.
Back to we call them yapathons or yap sessions, but just the two of us. And I guess it's been a bit of a funny period in which there's been lots happening in Speedway. You had the New Zealand TQ champs, you've had the New Zealand stock car teams champs, you've had all sorts of sort of things going on. But in terms of our own Speedway land world, not much really.
Yeah.
I had 8 weeks out of a race car.
Wow.
Which is just insane. I mean, the calendar this year has been so affected in the North Island by rainouts, and we'll talk about it in a second, but whatever's happening at Waikaraka Park has really really taken some meetings out of the calendar. So I've done 12 meetings this year now. No, 11 meetings this year now.
Wow.
With an 8-week gap, which is just wild.
For a country that doesn't have a very long summer anyway, a lot of the time, I guess in the North Island, the weather can be a bit different usually, but not so much this year. Yeah, that's a very long time.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a
especially when
massive
things
gap.
were already pretty slim with the closure of the springs, obviously, that, there was already talk about how do we fit in more meetings for these guys, and it's all of a sudden just got shorter and shorter and shorter when everyone thought the list couldn't get shorter.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think my like takeaway from kind of having eight weeks off is that I think what I want to see from tracks next year, particularly in our part of the world, because I feel like this happens a lot in the South Island already, but I kind of want to see a bit more cooperation between tracks on calendars and stuff next year. I think we've had a lot of weekends here this year where it's been, this season rather, where it's been like there's nothing going on, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 tracks have meetings for classes going on, and it really does split the fields up. So I think in particular, I would like to see a bit more sort of cooperation happening, because nothing drives competitors mad more than, if you've got to choose between 2 tracks one weekend and then the next weekend there's no racing going on whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, especially in the North Island when, those kind of top 3 there with like Kiki, Waikaraka and Bay Park, obviously, they're all within give or take a couple hours of each other. Whereas down here in the South Island, obviously aside from Woodford Glen and Ruapuna being in the same city, everything's like 5 hours away. I mean, it's 3.5 to Greatmouth, but I mean, 5 to Nelson, 4 to Dunedin, closer to 6 to get to Cromwell, and then even further to get to Invercargill. Like everything's quite split up, but yet we still manage to, for the most part, not clash as much as it seems that the North Island does, which, as you say, splits the fields when everything's so close and you're racing the same classes in quite a few spots as well. But yeah, especially, everything's just a little bit closer in the North Island, which makes it probably more important to, communicate and cooperate about when you're running.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I know also hasn't been made easy with the cancellations and things of rescheduling as well. That's probably important to note, but yeah.
Yeah, it's probably been a bit of a funny season for lots of different reasons, but yeah, that's probably the main one. Just rainouts and tracks not really outs and things like that. So it's been a bit of a weird one. But a couple of weeks ago, we had a situation where Kiki and Bay Park, which are about an hour and 20 minutes apart, were both scheduled to run sprint cars, and then the week after there was another Kiki meeting on, I think, or the week before, but where they had midgets and stuff, but no sprint cars. So it's I think I'd like to see a little bit more cooperation next season between the tracks. I don't know who encourages that, or whether that comes from the top down, or whether that's the tracks getting together, or
I think probably it comes from the tracks getting together. That's something that like in Christchurch here, obviously Woodford Glen and Ruapuna, yes, they're very different classes, but there is quite a fair bit of crowd crossover these days. And we really try to only clash once a year at the most. And I think Rob was doing the math the other day that between the two of us, 33 odd race meetings.
Wow.
And there's not that many weekends in a summer, when you really think about it. So to only be able to clash once is really all we try to do. And that's generally the meeting that we've just had there, where they run their Battle of the Stocks kind of early March, and we normally run the Clay Cup then as well for the Lightning Sprints. So, we, give or take when there's limited weekends, but that kind of communication goes a long way, and it's something that, I think that other tracks should be striving to do as well, especially when there's class crossovers.
Well, that's good to hear. It's good to hear that, the Christchurch has got it sorted out.
Yeah.
Only takes having 2 tracks in one city maybe to get it sort of on the same
maybe
program.
That's why it is obviously on the forefront of our minds, because they're only 25 minutes away from each other, whereas these other tracks you're looking at, hour and a half, 2.5 hours kind of thing. But it is tricky, and I know that weekends are very limited, and it's hard to plan when it's going to work for everybody, especially waiting for like title dates and things like that. Obviously you want to work in with the tracks that are hosting the titles and things like that. So setting a calendar is no easy feat, but definitely communicating with your neighbours is a smart idea.
Yeah, I would like to see it next year, and I think there's some moves kind of happening now to incentivize that a little bit. So
it's a win-win for everyone, right? The competitors get to race more, they get to race at different tracks more, rather than kind of being stuck to their home track a little bit. And then, spectator counts win because people can go to multiple places and get to also see other tracks. And then promoters win because they're selling more tickets and they get better fields.
Yeah, it's amazing. Actually, one thing that always amazes me about Speedway is the lengths that someone will go to a meeting.
Yeah.
It's you often see, people that because as a driver, you kind of see people in the crowd and you're like, oh, I've seen you, a few times before. You start recognizing faces if you see people enough. And people that, we see in Auckland, we see them at Kiki, and then we see them at Bay Park. Like we see people kind of traveling to go to the meetings. And it's always, as someone who's always been connected to the sport basically since I was born. It's kind of, it's always interesting to me that people will travel around to the different locations to go and watch their favorite class. Yeah, I think that's what I would kind of like to see. Is a little bit more cooperation, so that.
What did I tell you about the cat breaking in?
The cat just opened the door. Wow,
the cat just opened the door.
I'm impressed.
You have to learn how to shut it. Now he's locked in here.
Yeah, so 8 weeks out of the car was pretty rough. It was
a long time.
Yeah, it was a funny old night. It's been a funny old couple of nights for us at Bay Park. I think I need to go and I don't know, sacrifice a goat or something down at turn 1 because it's not playing ball for me at the moment. I've had a couple of self spins there, and then I had an assisted spin there on Saturday. But I need to go and. But then again, in the feature, I made up about 5 spots at turn 1. So I don't know. Maybe we're friends again. It's it's been a bit of a tough road for us at Bay Park. But yeah, so and then I think I got up to 5th in the feature, and then I was just behind Ryan. Tell you what, boy oh boy, it was dusty. Good grief! Oh my lord!
I hear there was a yellow for the dust. Yeah.
Yellowed the race because of the dust, and props to Bay Park for doing that because it's a pretty gutsy call to yellow a race because it's too dusty, and I guess deciding that it's too dusty because it's a pretty gutsy call. So yeah, props to them. It was the right call that they made to do that because it was seriously dangerous. I was about 4 car lengths behind my teammate Ryan O'Connor in the feature. And I could and when I say just, I'm pretty blind, so that's the caveat here. But I could only just see the white on his number on his tail tank, and I was about probably 3 or 4 car lengths behind him. So
wow,
yeah, it was the right call. So yeah, good props to them. So yeah, it was dusty. Goodness gracious! But the track was awesome. The track's been really good at Bay Park this year. We're back there on Saturday, which is exciting. I don't know what, like I say, I've got to go and make friends with turn 1 again or something to sort out my luck down there.
Something to get a bit of luck rolling.
I know. I've had good luck other tracks this year, but nothing so far at Bay Park. Yeah, I guess we kind of alluded to it before, but I guess something else to kind of talk about. So before we do talk about it, we got no insider knowledge or information on the situation. So we'll just talk about what we actually know, then speculate a little, but not much, because that's why you come here. You come here for our speculations,
our utmost important thoughts.
Yeah, our hot takes on situations. So what we do know, is that the last meeting held at the new track here, Lucas Oil Auckland Speedway, was on the TQ Champs. So that was the 10th of February, I think.
Correct.
So that's a month ago now, and I think it was the weekend before that was the International Saloon, a Super Saloon series that we sort of covered on here, and I think what has been clear from day one. We talked about it, in the couple of little reviews we've done on here, but it's basically just needed more dirt since day one, and I think that's been recognised since day one. The night where they had the Super Saloons there, it was pretty clear that night that it was kind of at the point where too many cars on the track and it was just sort of rutting up quite bad. I think just from a lack of material. And if you think about it, any car that kind of drives on it probably takes home, a kilo of dirt. And if there's been, 300 cars on it, that's 300 kilos of dirt, basically. So plus or minus, give or take. I mean, we took about 30 kilos home on my car after that rain out race. But yeah, it's been clear from day one that the place has needed some more dirt. I think, they have been talking about getting some or had sourced some, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, they had the New Zealand TQ champs. By all accounts, sounds like the track's pretty good. Everyone seemed reasonably happy with it. The racing was good. The feature was good. I watched the feature on YouTube. The feature was really good. They had the New Zealand Modified Grand Prix at Waikaraka Park, and basically, from what I can understand, I wasn't there, but sounds like all hell sort of broke loose. There was reports of lots of flat tires, lots of whatever else happening, and that was after they had put some new material in. Yeah, not ideal. And I think what's happened there is kind of the North Island Sprint Car Champs have been rescheduled twice now. So the latest update with that is that there's we're not really sure when it's going to happen now, because we're in March and the season's sort of running out a little bit. So yeah, it's a little bit tricky to find another date. So I'm sure everyone's working as hard as they can and whatever else to get that venue back up and running. Yeah, from what I can understand, it's been an issue where they basically didn't have enough dirt before, then some dirt went in. It was suboptimal, to say the least. The Modified Grand Prix was basically the last meeting that they were able to have there. So yeah, look, not good, not good for open wheel or any speedway here in Auckland. It's already in a pretty vulnerable position with not being able to race at the Springs this year, and sort of the ongoing conversation, to try and keep the place and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's just in a tricky position at the moment. So things like this don't really help.
No.
So yeah, look, we hope to be back on track at Waikaraka Park for the John Webster Memorial on the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Anyway, all that said.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, tricky times for Speedway in Auckland. But I think what it means for competitors is that we're sort of here, speaking as a competitor, kind of here just sort of scratching our heads a little bit, because I'm based in Auckland and reasonably interested in what happens here in Auckland racing wise. So yeah, it's a tricky time, and I know that there's a lot of lots being said online and stuff like that about what's actually going on over there. So. I guess, fucked if I know. Basically.
No answers, but would love them.
Basically, what I know is nothing.
Yeah.
Hope that helps. Yeah, basically, it's just like a big old fuck nose, isn't it, really? Like
It really is, yeah.
Hope they hope they get it sorted soon.
It is unfortunate, just because obviously, as you said, competitors aren't getting to race as much. They have to go further from home to be able to race. So yeah, especially after the delayed start to the season for Lucas Oil, Waikaraka, that, obviously you want to continue the end of the season with as much racing as possible since the start was so delayed. So yeah, a few weeks off in the middle there is not what they needed, especially, obviously with the guideline right now being that they'll go racing again on the 28th of March. That could definitely change. It's one of those things to watch and wait, really. But as you said, it's just very high profile. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's watching it happen because everybody has a vested interest in it. So it's a tricky one.
Say it.
Fuck knows.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much.
So anyway, that's what we know. Speedway Insider, but we're actually on the outside of this one.
Yeah.
We remain committed to being the positive voice of everything. So yeah, if anyone wants to come on and explain what's going on or what's happened or anything, we'll have you anytime, anywhere, you name it, pretty much. Yeah.
There's much else to be said on that one.
The same goes for anyone trying to save Western Springs either.
100%.
If you got a balanced view, come on, reach out, let's talk. Genuine offer. What else? We had a list, but I mean, we normally when we do these, we just chat. I feel like if it feels like we're just hanging out and catching up, that's basically why you have podcasts on in your ears, right? It's just you want to be a part of people hanging out and chatting.
This happens to be us, aren't you lucky?
Yeah, right now it's us. I mean, you've subscribed. People are watching us on YouTube. We'll do an episode soon once they come out. I think it's normally about now that they come out. So February was the period where the technical rule changes were open. So once those come out, once those get released, we'll do an episode on that. People liked that one last year. where we gave our seriously piping hot takes on rule changes. And yeah, a few other guests kind of in the mix coming up. So in terms of other things going on, it's about to get really exciting in your world, and in particular your part of the country, because very soon a bunch of sprint car and midget people are headed to Ruapuna for Speedweek. Not Speedweek, don't call it Speedweek because there's a week in between.
Yep, the speed that doesn't happen in a week.
What about Speed Week in between week?
Speed week with an Easter hunt in the middle.
Speed week on, week off, week on.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. I'll put that on everything. Yeah. Super simple to put in the logo. So
yeah, real catchy, real simple, real easy. Be like
rolls
real
right
easy for everyone to say. Yeah. But obviously this year, the New Zealand Sprint Car Grand Prix is the first weekend, which is the 27th and 28th of March. And then Easter right in the middle of it. And Ruapuna is not allowed to race on Easter. Yeah. For reasons.
Council noise regulations stipulate Easter is a no-go.
And then what was originally supposed to be the supercars extravaganza of motorsport, which, I mean, like we've always said on this podcast, traffic management plans are so important. So obviously that couldn't possibly happen. It's now the week before the 10th and 11th of April. So yeah, it's about to get big down there. Rumours of, mid-20s in the sprint cars and early 20s in midgets. So that's pretty exciting.
Yep.
Fucking prize money.
It's there. We always try to make it be there.
$95,000 on the line across, I'm guessing, midgets and sprint cars.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, across everything, because we've got the wingless rumble as well.
Across
and the
everything.
BT race for mates, which is TQs as well. So across everything.
No temptation to put another $5,000 up, just sort of round it up to 100, or?
I would love that. I would love that. But
or
hey,
another
if anyone
Ford,
wants
make it
to,
99.
you're more than welcome to. Get in touch today for a sponsorship opportunity. We will be sure to find somewhere to put it. But yeah, right now, as it stands, sitting at about 95K. So
nice.
Pretty wrapped with that. Yeah, should be really good. 12K to win the Sprint Car Gold Cup, 3.5 to win the Midget Gold Cup. Yeah,
it's exciting.
End the season with a bang.
Yeah, a big bang. And then so if you're sitting in a different part of the country to Ruapuna Speedway, because a lot of people travel for this meeting. That's one thing that stood out to me the year that we did it, was that, there's people from Auckland, there's people from everywhere that go down to watch, particularly the Gold Cup, I think, because that's an event that's got so much history. Have some history that you could share with us in a second, but
I'm a wealth of knowledge on it this week.
If you're sitting in a different part of the world and you want to go and watch some high quality open wheel racing, it's kind of the only place to be, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely always a marquee part of the calendar, especially the Gold Cup. Obviously, it's as you said, a lot of history. This is the 24th running, but no matter what kind of time of the season it gets run, it's always a big one. So that's one thing that stood out to me as well over my years of attending it, that, sometimes it's been held in January, and sometimes these last few years it's been kind of the end of the season, which has worked out really well when we can stack it in with the Grand Prix and the Rumble for the wingless sprints. And obviously the BT race for mates coming back this year is going to be a fantastic addition as well, that we can really just scoop everything together and get the best of the best from around the country to come. And the fans love travelling for it too. So we always love seeing repeat people and people that have never missed a Gold Cup, and that kind of stuff is where the history really alludes from. And I'm sure in the grand scheme of things, 24 years isn't really that long of a time to be holding events in comparison to others around the world, but you got to start somewhere. And I think that 24 years of Gold Cup history is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great event. Everyone looks after you. Everyone sort of, treats you like a person that's travelled a long way. So come down. Come on down. The beers are cheap, probably.
Club room's open. The VIP area's open.
Yeah. Tell you what, the one piece of advice I'll give you is bring a couple of hoodies, probably a jacket, probably some sort of warm thing for your head, definitely long pants.
And 2 pairs of socks.
The real tester, the real tester will be whether or not my crew chief, who is well known for wearing jandals all the time, whether he'll be in shoes and socks. Remains to be seen.
Yeah, hopefully it's mild, but
No, it'll be
Ruapuna in
warm. It'll
April,
be mid-20s.
not so
It'll be
much.
mid-20s, I'd say. Yeah,
Yeah,
mid-20s.
but it can be 30 degrees during the day at Ruapuna, and it will drop to -10 the second the sun goes down and the easterly kicks in. You are screwed no matter what.
-10. You're predicting a warm one this year.
Yeah, nothing will beat that Gold Cup from a few years ago. I think that was the year that you guys were here. God, that was cold.
That is the coldest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
I was in a 3-layer race suit, another layer underneath that, and I still had a jacket on, a beanie on, and it was chilly. It was chilly.
It was. Yeah, that one sticks with me for sure. It was different, but hey, it doesn't really, I mean, yeah, everyone talks about how cold it is, but it doesn't put our loyal fans off who will just sit there all day, every day. That's something I've really noticed this season, especially as, on race days, I get to the track quite early and, you see the same people every week will roll in at like 2 p.m. and they'll set up and they'll just be there all day and all night and they just love it. And those are the people that keep these events alive. So no matter how cold it is, they'll be there.
Maybe those are the people we should be interviewing as well.
I'm sure that a lot of them have got so many stories of just observing, which is crazy because you only ever focus on the people that are kind of on the inside or sitting on the pit side. It is very interesting when you get the chance to hear the stories of some of these spectators that have been coming for forever and a day but never stepped foot in, in a race car or on a team or anything like that. Very, very interesting.
It is interesting. It's given me a thought. Yeah.
Ideas.
Speedweek.
But yeah, all that and more. Speedweek, that's not Speedweek.
Week on, week off, week on.
That's the one. That is the one. But yeah, it's shaping up to be pretty big. We got 2 nights of fireworks. Both Saturdays are fireworks nights. So yeah, you really can't go wrong. Of course, the Salute to Goody was rained out earlier this year as well, so that's happening Friday night of the Gold Cup. So you still get a sprint car feature on both nights.
Damn, all go.
So
3 features.
That's pretty cool too. So you will get 3 features.
I couldn't convince Rob to do a feature on the first night of the GP.
Of the Grand Prix. New Zealand title ones are tricky when it's
yeah, no, you can't do
formats and all that kind of stuff. But I'm hearing you.
That might lead into a discussion that's also on my list here. Segway, that's what we're all about here, is some things that we've seen overseas that maybe we could bring to New Zealand. And the discussion kind of came to my head because we're trialling something at Bay Park this weekend, which is pretty exciting. It might be slightly chaotic for the first time, but I think it's going to be a bit of a showpiece. The high limit choose cone, which is so everyone will be in the racing order that they're in before the yellow, and then a cone down the back straight, and then basically it's if you're first, you go past the cone first and choose inside or outside. If you're second, you choose inside or outside. You can choose whichever lane you want to go in. And I guess the kind of the thing is that, particularly in sprint cars, because the outside is so powerful when it comes to a restart, because you're able to gather up so much more wing speed and carry a bit more momentum down into turn 1 and often get around the outside of the car that's on the inside. So it's quite a powerful tool, I suppose, starting on the outside. So that's the choose cone. So you go all the way back through the field, and let's say the front 8 cars will choose the outside and position 9 wants to have a go on the inside. Well, guess what? You're on pole for the restart. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out this weekend. I think it's a really cool innovation, and I give Bay Park a huge round of applause for just giving something different a go, spicing it up. But it kind of got me thinking, what are the other things that we've seen overseas? And particularly for you, because you've been to Aussie, you've been to America, you've been all over the show now. So what are our top 3 things? What are your top 3 things that you would bring from overseas that you've seen overseas? Because I'll go first because I got 3. I had I didn't give you any preparation time.
No, I fear that ours might be quite similar though. But yeah.
Yeah, my first one was around, well, actually the choose cone. was kind of one, but we're doing that this weekend, so that's pretty exciting. But I think, and I'm going to put a rule in next time they open up the racing rules. I think an open wheel, because I mean that's really what we're talking about here, but also sort of saloon cars too. But I think that particularly in sprint cars, that the car on the inside of the front row should set the pace. So the reason I think that is because of what I've basically just described, where it's the car on the outside kind of has the biggest advantage. That's why you always see the top point scorer will always choose the outside. You always see if there's a choice to choose of the front row during a feature, you'll always see the car that's leading go to the outside. T9 times out of 100, I would say. So for me, bringing back the inside car, setting the pace, kind of just gives a tool back to that car on the inside. Basically, to sort of speed up, slow down, do what you want, go early, go late, kind of, basically set the pace there. So they do that in a lot of the racing in America. So that's one thing I would like to see. If you had time to think of one, it can be anything. I think it can be anything, whether it's the show, whether it's the racing, whether it's tech rule or something. But it can be anything.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I agree with your inside start sets the pace, because I just think that having that universal across everywhere would be so much easier. And we know that jump starts and things can be a hot topic, so just make it easy. A little bit easier. But I mean, for me personally, it's kind of tricky to say. I mean, I love all the innovations. Like, I think the choose cone's really cool, things that are a little bit different. Huge fan of the dash redraws.
Yep. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
The way
love
high
sprint
limit
car
does that's pretty
qualifying.
cool.
Yeah, the high limit one's really cool. I
If you
just
don't
think
know,
anything that the high limit format does is really cool.
pretty much, yeah.
Realistically.
But if you don't know what high limit do, they take all the cars for the dash. So that's the heat winners and second place getters in the heats.
Or the fastest qualifier.
And they basically have a big spinny wheel where they spin it with lots of numbers on it. And basically, if you draw the lowest number, you start towards the front. So if you draw a high number, you start towards the rear. So it's just a different way of doing the same thing, basically. I mean, you could just pull
and it plays
a
on
marble.
their gambling theme as well.
Yeah, of course. If you could just pull a marble in the pits, but where's the show in that for the fans? So
100%, yeah.
Just something a little bit different.
Yeah.
I thought what you were going to say is prelim features.
Well, that too, but that can't be we don't have that many double headers in New Zealand.
True.
But if we're talking for titles, yes, I will back up my point from the last podcast. And an aesthetic thing, just for appearance only, sack off the track codes and run whatever letter you want.
Yeah, Ethan Dotson. See, I want to run a 74X.
Yeah. That's so much cooler, because the purpose of a track code, I know, is probably more to let fans know where people are from, but are we past that now? Is that as important? I don't know. But for appearance and aesthetic purposes only, serves no real racing change at all.
No.
But big fan.
I guess.
Same with the Chrome numbers debacle as well.
I guess that's one that we're more aligned with Australia on, actually, is that in Australia you run a NSW or a Q or a what have you, depending on what state you're from.
Or a T.
Yeah.
But there's a done by state, not by track. So theirs are also easier, because you see the 97V and you know that he's from Victoria. Just to use Caden Brown's number as an example, but they also do it backwards, because they put their letter in front of the number, so it's the V97 or the T22. But they don't have as many options because they do it by state, whereas we do it by track. So therefore, it can also get a little bit confusing, because C is for Christchurch, but T is for Cromwell, and E is for Blenheim.
Or V for Wanganui.
For Wanganui.
Or the situation where you've got 2 tracks in Christchurch, 3 tracks in Auckland.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it doesn't narrow it down that much, because, you could compete anywhere, kind of thing. Yeah, so that's, I mean, yes, we are aligned in the fact that it has to relate to where you're from or where you're registered to. But, I don't know, does it create more confusion? Because, a B doesn't mean anything to anybody that's just learning the sport, does it? So that's my take. I think they're a little bit irrelevant. Either run no letter, or I don't know. I think maybe that's a pastime, is my viewpoint.
Probably hails back to the days where we were kind of racing contact grades and teams and that sort of thing. The only counterpoint I have to that is that it is kind of nice to look across the grades and for me being from Palmy but also kind of now racing out of the mount, it's kind of cool to look across the grades and immediately who your club mates are and all that sort of thing and who's going well in the other grades and stuff like that. Or there's a bit of a pride factor in repping like a track or a part of the country as well. That'd be the only slight counterpoint. But there might be another way to do that too.
Yeah, that too. People probably do, like it is, or your fellow C car members or your fellow M car members, that kind of thing is probably just a thing that's stronger here in New Zealand than anywhere else. I don't know if that does come from, the kind of contact grade world where you see someone protecting someone maybe in a title because they're club mates and that's quite obvious from the start, but maybe in open wheel it's not that big of a deal. But then you do, of course, run into the issue then of how do you control duplicate numbers?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if everybody wants to run number 91, but nobody wants to have a letter on the end of it, then how do you determine who gets the number 91 that's just blank versus who has to put a letter on it?
Yeah, well, you might get into a situation where you've got about 37 91s. Or
exactly.
But quite right. It's,
So I don't know. Something I don't think would happen, but aesthetic and appearance purposes, that would be something that's not race related.
Yep, I like it. I agree. Our number rules, to your point before about chrome numbers and things like that, I think the number rules are... I've actually got a very simple solution for it. I'll tell you what it is. The very simple solution that I thought of a few years ago is as simple as this, right? So I would say like probably 80% of people do a practice, right? So here's my simple solution. You don't get your green sheet signed off or your CVI signed off until you've done your first laps on the track, and then you can have whatever number you want, any design, you basically make it up. But you put it back on the competitors and you say, okay, well, you drive around. If we can't read your number and your transponder fails, you will not be manually lap scored because we literally can't read your number. So my simple solution is if you can't see a number from further than like 10-ish meters away, then you fail the number. Go back and do it again. Or don't be recorded in manual lap scoring. It's as simple as that. So you push it back onto the competitor. But you can have whatever you want.
Yeah. In the form of a sprint car, is it still a rule that you don't have to have a number on the wing, or is that not a rule?
Yeah. So there's only 2 places in the Speedway New Zealand rulebook where it's required that you have a number on your car. One is underneath the front wing. So in other words, a complete waste of time. And the other is on the tail tank. So only half a waste of time. But apart from that...
if I have chrome numbers on my wing that technically don't actually have to be there, why don't you rely on reading my front number that you can't see underneath my front wing? That's what you actually should be relying on, because one day I might show up and not have a number on my wing at all.
I think it's that if you've got numbers, they've got to be of a certain, like standard, I think. But you may have actually just flagged a good loophole. But probably what it also says is that the sprint car rules need a bit of a tidy up on where the numbers need to go. We had this situation at Waikaraka earlier this year where I was running Ryan's wing, which has 98 on it, and my car had 99 on it. And man, did it confuse the fuck out of everyone.
Yeah.
But we had this situation where, because, I am a walking rule book, basically. We had a situation where...
that ever read the rule book.
We had a situation where about 7 or 8 technical people came over to the car at various points during the night and tried to get me to change, the number on the wing or something. And I refused because it doesn't say it in the rule book.
It doesn't have to be there.
The only person I changed it for was Bryce Kenyon because he couldn't read it and it was confusing him, and so I changed it. I put a little sticker in the middle of it, and that's the only reason I changed it, was because we love Bryce.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you're right.
It is a hot topic.
Number rules. Yep, hot topic.
It's always been a bit of a loophole, hasn't it? Though, because most people choose to put their number on the wing.
For most people, it's a bit of an identity thing where it's like,
it's actually something that I've noticed in a lot of old photos too, that I'm assuming the rule has been around since day dot, because when I was researching for this Gold Cup project that I've been accumulating photos of all the past Gold Cup winners for Ruapuna, that none of them have numbers on their wing, or a lot of them don't. When you're looking through old photos, the majority of them don't have numbers on their wing, and I go, I don't know who that is.
I'm going to say that dates back to when the cars didn't have wings.
Probably, but it seems like a simple one to update.
Seems like a pretty simple one to fix, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But also, who cares enough to get two tracks to sign off and 3 competitors to sign off to change it? You might as well just... Yeah. I've got other things that I've got on in life to...
Yeah, 100%.
Other things, so prelim features, the choose cone, format. I've also written down like hot laps and qualifying and heats and a dash and a final. I want to see more of that. I fucking love qualifying because qualifying laps, because it is literally, you have the track to yourself. You can go as fast as you possibly can. You're on the lowest possible fuel. I don't know if crowds like them, to be fair, but
I think they do. I mean, we're quite lucky in the South Island. We get to see them quite frequently with the War of the Wings. I think they do, but probably only if you're sitting in this day and age, if you're sitting there with Speed Hive open.
Yeah, you've got to have a live timing app.
Yeah, and you've got to be able to watch the live timing. Otherwise, that's another thing. Can I add to my list? I would like my race pass to be used in New Zealand.
What's My Race Pass?
My Race Pass is the timing scoring app that they use in America predominantly. I think Australia is now quite a few tracks are converting to it. It'll give you the grid lineups for the heat races. It'll give you obviously live timing, but it'll calculate grids for you. It'll calculate your points for you. When you sign in, it puts everyone's name in. When you're with the Outlaws and you do the pill draw for where you're going to go out in qualifying, it puts them in your right order and you can see what everyone's pill draw was.
Damn, fancy.
It's really, really good. And very user-friendly and purpose-built for Speedway. Okay,
sounds good. I think there is a plan.
Just works.
Harking back to old days, I think there is a plan to make the Speedway New Zealand app something along those lines.
Right.
And I think there was a whole bunch of money allocated at the AGM, not last year, the year before, to basically doing phase 3 or phase 4 of the app, which was kind of to do all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I think that is the plan. But yeah, interesting. If they don't have to build it, then they don't have to build it, right? It might be just
that's what I'm thinking. If you just go to what the rest of the industry is using, we don't have to make it too difficult and spend too much money. But I think it's more of an individual track thing as well, because obviously it's got to be connected to your timing loop and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% how that all works, but everyone's using My Laps now. So, obviously the technology is there for everyone on Speed Hive, but yeah, I think a more user-friendly situation would also probably be good. So My Race Pass in New Zealand would be grand. It is available. I mean, it's not hard to do.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Well, Ruapuna and the South Island tracks use that race control, which is the one where you just enter on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a bit of a step in the right direction too, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. I would never go back to not having race control as a tool, as not even just a committee meeting, committee member, but in general as part of the announcing team, and obviously social media and stuff. Be able to actually just have a full list of entries. If you want to race, you just go online and you register and it'll put you there. If you change your mind, you just unregister yourself. You don't have to email anybody. You don't have to phone anybody and be like, hey, I'm not coming anymore. Just remove your entry.
I love it. Ooh.
And it's the same with if you're racing someone else's car. You just add a new car to your vehicle garage. It's literally called a garage in the app.
I love it.
It's perfect. It's a really, really good tool. And I think more speedways should use it because, it is obviously very South Island dominant. I think Rosebank use it. I'm not sure if anyone else. I know that the Auckland TQ Club used to use it. They used to have their own thing instead of it being obviously because the tracks don't use them, but the Auckland TQ Club used to use it to be able to track where everyone was going. Dargaville's in here. The Kiwi kids are in here. They used to do the same thing.
Yeah, right.
It did start off more because I know that, Ellesmere was one of the first ones on there as well, but Stratford's on here, Waharoa.
Okay, maybe it's just tracks I don't race at.
So, well, yeah.
By the sound of it.
Bay Park, the Springs, that kind of thing, but Yeah, I mean, you can have all your information. You can link like formats and stuff. You can link PDFs so that drivers can just get them from there. And then it just takes the person out of it. You don't have to, someone doesn't have to manage it for you. So there's my ad for Race Control. Not affiliated, but love using it.
Sponsored,
Because it goes for staff
gifted.
too. Staff sign in there. So you have staff and you have drivers.
Yeah. Well, more tracks should be on it.
Every time you sign in, you tick a little agree to the motorsports indemnity thing that your health and safety, and you agree to the track's code of conduct. At least that's how Ruapuna has it set up. So every time you go to sign in, you tick that you're healthy and you're safe and you're blah, 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 and that you will follow all of the rules. It's just another tick in the right direction for health and safety as well.
Yeah, I did notice that actually, yeah.
So it's pretty good. You can buy memberships within it too, if the track has that set up. So, like we buy it, my brother sells me a license and stuff, like you buy that through Race Control.
Oh, that's
and club membership for Ruapuna is done that way too. Obviously licensing isn't because it's through Speedway New Zealand, but
right, that's interesting.
So you go, there's my fun fact, my Race Control ad for you.
Yeah, that is good.
Speaking of technology and things.
Yeah, no, I like it. There's probably a whole episode in tech and things and stuff that we ought to be doing, to be honest. Yeah, I can't think of any other ones that I've seen overseas.
Yeah, I think a lot of them, they do obviously have their positives and their negatives. Like I know that the work area was a hot conversation in Australia this season, and then with where they have it and where they don't, and then I think they implemented it somewhere and it was a bit of a shit show kind of thing. So it can obviously hold up the program a lot. But I think also why the work area probably doesn't work at most tracks here, like because obviously we can't have everybody on the infield, but to be able to get cars on and off the track to go to our designated work area, we have gates that close. We're all enclosed within the walls, whereas like in America, you just drive off the track.
Yeah, they
have those openings.
I don't think it would work. I actually had it on my list here of ones to kind of talk about. Basically, for those that aren't initiated, it's an area where if you have a shambles during the race, you can get out and change a flat tire or change something or other and get back out and racing during a yellow. And they have kind of designated time. I think it's 3 minutes or something. 3 minutes.
I think high limit dropped theirs to 2 minutes this year.
2 minutes.
But predominantly it's 3, I think.
And it's kind of an area that's just off to the side of the track where you can kind of pull up hot and stop, and then your crew rush down, change the tire, and then off you go again. But I actually couldn't think of a track in New Zealand where it would actually work.
Yeah, not without having everybody on the infield, and that's a no-go.
No.
And you can't really be opening the gates mid-race either.
Nah, aside from, people jumping the fence or anything like that. Actually, there is one track that it's going to work, and that's probably 21 Speedway, Mary.
True, yes.
Because it's going to be hot on, hot off. But
yeah,
that's another episode down the track too, actually. But I actually couldn't think of a track in which it would work seamlessly. So it's kind of one that would be cool because if for any class, if you get a flat tire, basically your options are at the moment you retire, but or you can box on, obviously, in some grades. You're severely hampered. So, it's kind of one of those ones. But, in high limit or World of Outlaws, you can change. I had one for, like, saloon classes. The Delaware Restart is the one that they do in the World of Outlaw, what's it called? Late model series. The Delaware Restart. And it's the one where the driver that's winning the race gets to choose inside or outside, but there's no car next to them.
Right. Okay.
And it kind of just restores that advantage back to the leader after the restart. So the leader can choose inside, outside, and then there's no car next to them, and then they get to go anywhere after like turn 3 on the cone, or you can have it just at the line. But I quite like the Delaware Restart. I've seen it done a couple of times here in New Zealand, but nothing major.
Interesting.
The other one I think from overseas, only controversial opinion, the series. I love a series. We need more series here in New Zealand. Outlaws, High Limit, just basically all the cars together, all the good guys together, and a thing that kind of attracts, local guys to come to, guys and girls to come and race at. But yeah, just the series. Bring on a series. We need a series, a lot more series.
Yeah. The biggest problem we have here is that little stretch of water right in the middle.
Don't I know it? Yeah. But,
which everyone's feeling the pain of right now, especially. But yeah, I do love the idea of, something that expands further than the War of the Wings, or, any of the series in the North Island as well. But yeah, you just need something that crosses over to both, and something that, you just need a big sponsor.
The BK series, in Super Saloons a few years ago was a success. It's kind of gone away, which is a bit of a shame. And, the National Midget Car Series back in the day. Yeah, I love a good series.
Yeah, there's a few happening, but they're all, within the island that they are organised, and crossing over is a lot of work.
And what I want to see is, I want to see a North series and a South series in classes, and then what I want to see is a North versus South weekend in which you get the 10 place getters from the North Island series, Superstock series, and the 10 drivers from the South Island series in each class, and then just get them all together. One weekend's in Blenheim, and the next year is in Wellington, so everyone's got to travel.
Yeah, nice.
So, 1 year there's a ferry crossing for you, there's a ferry crossing for me. But yeah, good old-fashioned North versus South state of origin. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see, a series. And then I think, North versus South. I kind of borrowed that idea from circuit racing, actually. It's one of the few they've had in the last few years.
It's a nice competition, friendly rivalry going on.
State of origin.
Yeah.
North versus South.
I like it.
Yeah. That's what I want to see. If you've got some, send them in.
Yeah.
We'll read them out, maybe. Only if they're good ideas. Last thing on my list is a shout out to the New Zealand Youth Mini Stock team, of which I was a member in 2009 with some legends of the game. Yeah, they're racing at the moment. The Australians, every year there's a New Zealand versus Australia challenge. This year it's in New Zealand, next year it'll be in Perth. And this weekend they're racing at Bay Park. So I'm quite excited for that. I get to be involved. I was a member in 2009. So I'm going to go and say hello to them on the weekend, which is pretty exciting. Yeah, right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right now there's 6 drivers from Perth over here in New Zealand, racing against sort of the best from New Zealand. So yeah, it's a cool little event and a great way to sort of foster connections and friendships and all that sort of thing. Fun fact, I raced in the year, so with Tom Payette, who you would have heard of. I raced with a few other guys, Johnny Terriaka, who's back racing midgets in Perth, and then obviously from here, the likes of like Jason Long and Jamie Larson and other legends like Chloe Corbin and people like that. So yeah, it's just a cool way of, you spend a week together or 2 weeks, or in this case, I think it's 3 weeks this year. So it's just a cool way of kind of that trans-Tasman, and then we beat them over here, and then they beat us over there normally, except in my year in which we won in Perth. But yeah, so it's just a cool little event. So I'm looking forward to being involved this weekend.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It was always fun to see ways that the younger generation can get involved with something that maybe feels a bit bigger than they are. Like the opportunity to go over there and compete against international stars. It doesn't really happen a whole lot in the youth grades as much. So it's a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, and you're racing for your country too. There's the national anthem and there's all that sort of stuff that goes on too. So no, it's definitely not lost on you at the time that you're racing for New Zealand. So that's an honour and a privilege as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, good luck to them and hopefully we smash them. Speaking of friendly rivalries.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, anything else from you? Anything else going on in your world?
No.
Winnie, that's pretty good. Cut a bit out.
Yeah.
Probably cut some of the shit yarns out.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, see you soon.
Then we need to end it. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Speedway Insider Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you drop us a comment or a message about this episode. follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts to get the latest episodes straight to your feed. Thanks again for listening.